How's it going, everybody? Wildman Wes here, and welcome to another edition of Worst State of Movies. You know the drill. Let's get in that aeroplane and see what state we go to next. We now travel up to the northern part of the Midwest with the state of Michigan. Michigan has quite a lot of things. Detroit Rock City, the Red Wings, the Steiner Brothers, Wolverines! But that's not the topic of today's subject. We're talking about movies. And in this case, we're going to be talking about a movie franchise. At least one of them. Teen movies. They've been around since as far back as I can remember. Whether it be things from National Lampoon, John Hughes. Hell, we even did one recently with Up the Academy. But that's not the case today, folks. Today we're going to be talking about 2009's American Pie, The Book of Love. This movie is about a whole new generation, the younger Stifler generation, where a young boy named Rob is having a bit of a dry spell, if you will. And he decides he wants to kind of break that spell with a peanut butter sandwich. Yeah, we're just going to say that. But then we have to talk about the fact that his dog gets involved in the situation and all hell breaks loose. His little brother films it, puts it online, and sends it to all of his friends, and yeah, he's the laughingstock of the school. Meanwhile, he's talking with this girl Heidi, who's tutoring him on a couple subjects in class, and he has feelings for her, and little does he know that she really has feelings for him too. But she has a little bit of an issue. She is virgin. Let's just say virgin. I'm treading lightly with these movies, especially teen movies, because YouTube, why do you gotta change all the rules lately? You're making it very difficult for me to review movies once in a while. Whew! But not only that, Rob has two friends named Nathan and Lube. Don't get ahead of me, people. Nathan is dealing with the fact that his girlfriend made a pledge that she was not going to do certain things until after she got married. Now, Lube is kind of the nerd of the group. The guy that he hangs out with people, but at the same time, when people look at him, they think that he's a loser, but not because he's a horrible person, it's just because he's not cool. And we all know what happens to a lot of those kids that were called losers back in high school that weren't cool. They ended up being pretty cool. They really did. And a lot of them are more successful than you and I ever will be. But I digress. A Hawaiian-themed dance happens at their school where Rob decides he's going to ask Heidi to go with him, or at least meet him there. And at one point while he's talking with her, she disappears. When he finds her, she's hanging out with another boy, and he goes to the library and has a Hawaiian tiki torch with him and drops it and sets the library on fire. And as he's in a 2-month detention trying to clean up the library, he stumbles upon a book. A relic book. The Bible. Anybody that's watched the American Pie series knows what I'm talking about. This book is involved in the first movie where the boys find out how to do certain things to make girls like them, if you get my meaning. Like I say, I'm treading thin freaking water here. The boys go through the book and try to decipher some of the notes because unfortunately, due to the fire that happened in the library, the sprinkler system went off and started melting some of the pages and making all of the ink just go haywire. Well, as they're going through this book, they find out some information about going to certain places like Canada to meet a woman named... I'm gonna get in so much trouble for this. Okay, Canada. They go to Canada, and they meet this woman named Monique, and she is a very elderly woman of the night. Who are we kidding? We're just gonna say it. She belonged to the streets! She wants to teach, at least Rob, some secrets and tactics of how to have fun, and in the midst of it, she expires. Let's put it that way. The boys rush out of Canada to come back home and figure out what they're going to do in this whole situation. They end up going to one of the parties at Stifler's house. Of course, we have to have a party at Stifler's house in an American Pie movie. Well, Heidi's aware of the fact that Rob likes her, and he really is excited to want to have some fun and be her first person, so to speak. She overhears him kind of gloating about it, and she decides she doesn't want to deal with that, and she starts hanging out with Scott Stifler, Stifler's younger brother. And Rob finds him in the other room. He thinks that she has had her first time. He runs off. He decides the book has been a bit of a problem. They figure out who the first person was that started the book, and it was none other than Jim's dad from the first movie. Eugene Levy. Yeah, he was the originator. We find out the truth. The boys go up to meet Jim's dad. They bring the Bible with. He's surprised that it's even still somewhat intact, and they decide they need to make the book better. By that, getting all the notes right and accurate, so that way they can put it back in the school and everybody's happy. The Bible of the school gets put back together and restored. Rob asks his mom if he can go on the high school ski trip, even though he was technically grounded because of the 2-month detention thing or whatever it was. She agrees. He goes and he wants to reconcile with Heidi. Meanwhile, his friend Nathan is trying to make amends with his girlfriend Dana, who has the pact about not wanting to do things until marriage. Lube starts talking more and more to this cheerleader named Ashley that he's had a crush on for a long time, and even though he got friend zoned, she's realizing he's actually kind of cool. So there's a lot of reconciliation in that situation. But I do have to backtrack, because there was a cabin party that Stifler was hosting, and remember, this is Scott Stifler, not the OG Stifler. We're talking younger brother. I have to keep reminding myself that every time I say Stifler. Stifler. Ah! In the process of the film, Scott Stifler has this girl named Katie that's been following him around. And she sits down while they're playing a little bit of poker where people are losing clothing. She wants to be dealt in, and she wants to raise the stakes because he was her first. And he kind of flaked on her. Didn't say anything, didn't talk to her afterwards, so she wants to humiliate him. She wins the poker game. He has to drop trow and go running around outside in the snow. She locks the doors to the cabin and humiliates him about how he was just very, very, very awkward during their first time together. And not only that, Scott Stifler gets attacked by a CGI moose. I'm just going to leave it at that. At the end of it all, everything's fine and dandy. Everybody finds their person. Rob actually films his brother with a vacuum cleaner in a suggestive way. So Rob's brother gets his comeuppance in the end. I did my best to give a synopsis of this film. This film, you want to say train wreck? Oh, this movie was all over the place. ADHD overload is not even the concept to describe this movie. It's time to talk about what I like and what I don't like about this film. What I like about this film is, yes, with a sequel to a franchise that has the same kind of carbon copy plot, they twisted it around a little bit to see if something would work. Now, it is entertaining to a degree, but that's at best. They tried. That's all I can say. I will admit that the fact that they had a lot of cameos in this film, it made me smile because a lot of them were from a lot of the teen shows of the 80s and 90s, even before then, even in the 70s. We had people like Dustin Diamond from Saved by the Bell. We had Christopher Knight. We had Bret Michaels from Poison. We had Tim Matheson from Animal House. The list goes on and on. Robert Romanus from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. They all put a one-point cameo in the movie, especially when it came to the boys trying to figure out who put stories in that Bible that was found in the library. Another pivotal point, I would say, in a lot of the American Pie films, there is a character that is considered international. In this movie, there is a British exchange student named Imogen who is a mean girl. Not like the Shannon Elizabeth character, Nadia, from the first film, that's, just crazy. Though they do parallel in some aspects, this one's very much a mean girl and gives Scott Stifler a run for his money when it comes to the insults. I do appreciate that, because sometimes In an American film, when you have an international character involved, they seem to be more, how do I put this without sounding rough? They seem oblivious to what's going on around them. Imogen definitely knows what's going around her, and she has the words and actions to back it up. The cast of this film, there are so many people to acknowledge. I'm going to just kind of I'm going to cherry pick a little bit. Bug Hall plays the role of Rob. For those of you that grew up in the 90s, we're talking about Alfalfa from the Little Rascals. Yeah, good old little Alfalfa is becoming quite the sprout. Oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble. We also have Rosanna Arquette playing Rob's mom, part of the Arquette family. Also, I loved her in Pulp Fiction. We also have Eugene Levy. I've brought him up before. He is Jim's dad from the original movie and the entire franchise, coming back to reprise the role. We also have some cameos from Sherman Hemsley. We also have cameos from Curtis Armstrong playing one of the teachers. Oh, good old Booger from Revenge of the Nerds. We also have, which makes me very, very happy because Shocktoberfest is over and I reviewed one of his films, we have Jim Wynorski from Chopping Mall. Okay, this made me a little happy. Unfortunately, the happiness does have to dwindle quite a bit. It's time to talk about the things that I don't like about this film. Yes, the boys are very much a carbon copy of the original four. Rob is definitely a hybrid of Jim and Kevin. Nathan is much more of a hybrid of Oz. And Lube, let's face it, he is Paul Finch in this generation. And Scott Stifler, he's little brother. He's little brother. He's dealing with the whole situation of let him play or you're not going to get to have any fun. Especially when I bring up the concept of what can go wrong will go wrong. This movie was nothing more than a softcore version of a Three Stooges episode that expanded into an hour and a half, where so many ridiculous things happen, where you think it's just a train wreck and then it's a dumpster fire. No, this was literally a WMD that just dropped onto a movie. And it just, rough. Especially due to the fact that a lot of the jokes have not aged well, especially due to considerations of things like homophobia and bestiality. I am not censoring these words because the fact is, you need to be informed and educated, especially when it comes to bad movies. Not to mention the fact that this movie was made by Universal, but it was the home movie versions, or the home movie department. Yes, Scott Stifler has a bad day with a moose. And this moose was CGI, and I get what they were going at, but they could have at least did cut scenes of what was going on instead of seeing someone over a car with a CGI moose behind them. I'm gonna get canceled, aren't I? Man, this might be the episode that ends worst state. I don't know. But if you thought I didn't lose my mind during Shocktoberfest, you've seen it now. We gotta grade this film because I'm starting to derail. Rewatchability-wise, oof. That's a tall order, Big Shoots. Quotability, not really. It was a good one laugh to a degree, but the laugh was rather awkward. For the worst movie in Michigan, well, American Pie Book of Love. I really tried with the series because I am a fan of at least the original trilogy. The direct-to-videos, I understand that they're not going to be as great as the originals that were mainstreamed, but man, this one just, oh my gosh. Well, we gotta wrap this up because I'm just droning on at this point. If you've seen this movie and you agree with me, leave a thumbs up, and if not, I understand if there's things that you like that I didn't like, put it in the comments section below. I really am interested to see what everybody has to say about movies that they can watch whenever they want, because, hell, I do the same myself. Other than that, make sure you share on social media, but most importantly, push that subscribe button and ring the bell for instant notifications. Until then, I'm Wildman Wes, and we will see you next time for the next episode of The Worst State of Movies. I hope, if I don't get canceled first. Take care.